All right, webheads, Christmas is over. The new year is about to start. I'm going to give you my top 10 most anticipated for the first week of 2021. Hey, all my webheads out there, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, I am your host, Mike Spider Slayer, always helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy. And today, guys, I'm bringing you the top 10 most anticipated comics for January 6, 2021. That's right, guys. When these comics come out, it's going to be the new year. Finally. So hopefully this list helps you make decisions on what comics books to buy. And fans, at any time, if you want to help support Comic Book Corner 2.0 and become a member, all you got to do is just go under that home screen, hit that join button, and just like that, you become a member. You help support the channel. And I want to appreciate all of you that take the time to watch, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell. All right, guys, so let's kick off this most anticipated for the new year with the Hot Seat. Now, the Hot Seat book is always the book that I'm on the fence about, whether it's a first issue or a book that I could be dropping. So when it comes to the Hot Seat, I have two books this week because there's a lot of books coming out. And this one goes to Eternals issue 1, the newest Marvel book, right? We're eventually going to get a Marvel movie out of this. But the thing when it comes to the Eternals, it just doesn't excite me because maybe I just don't know that much about these characters, right? And if the movie did come out, I would have known more about these characters. But then again, if I do read this comic book, I'll learn more about these characters. So I don't know, man. I just don't know. I might give it an issue or two to see what happens about it. I really don't know what it's about, what the characters are about. And this one is 44 pages, $5. So we'll see what happens. All right, next on the Hot Seat, we have Future State. That's getting ready to come out. There's a lot of books on this list with Future State. But the one I'm least excited about is Future State Swamp Thing issue 1. Do I really care about a Swamp Thing Future State? Is he going to be around when Future State is over? I guess that's still yet to be determined. How many of you guys are going to invest in these Future State books? Nevertheless, a Swamp Thing Future State book. So I want to hear that all in the comments below. But this is something that's a little bit on my radar, but I don't even know if I'm going to be reading Swamp Thing when Future State is over. How many times can I say Future State in this video? Let's take a count. So this book is 32 pages, and this is $4. All right, so officially kicking off this countdown with number 10, this is Future State Superman of Metropolis. This is issue 1. Now, this has 3 separate stories. This has Superman of Metropolis Part 1, The Guardian Part 1, Mr. Miracle Part 1. So Clark Kent is entrusted the Earth's safety to his son, John. So he's the one that's going to be in charge of Metropolis. He's the new Superman. How does he handle things? I heard that Brainiac is going to be making his attack here. And I don't know. I just don't know what to expect. Again, a Superman book is going to have to really sell me to continue to buy the next issue, right? Because Superman's been so bad. We know why it's been bad. And I know this is something different. It's a completely different writer. But how this, I guess, pushes things forward along in the DC universe, this might do it. So we'll see what happens with it. It's 48 pages, and this one is $6. All right, so let's move on. Here's another book that I'm not too keen about, but I think all these Bat titles tie in with each other, the way the storylines take place. And this one is Future State Harley Quinn issue 1. So it looks like that the magistrate, I can never say the dude's name right. I can never say that name right. Has imprisoned Harley Quinn. Okay. So, and it looks like the Scarecrow is a pawn, and there's a whole bunch of different things going on with this particular book. I don't know what to expect from it. I guess you're going to have to read Batman to understand what's going on in Gotham, on how it affects all the other characters, on how it all ties together. So that's why it makes sense to read Harley Quinn if you're going to read the Bat books. This is 32 pages, and this one is $4. All right, so moving on. Coming in at number 8, this is Future State The Flash issue 1. So this one is normal price too, 32 pages, $4. No powers, no backup, no other choices. Barry Allen and the other Flashes face the deadliest threat they've ever encountered, Wally West. Possessed by an evil force trapped for thousands of years inside the Speed Force, Barry turns to his greatest foe's weapons to save the young man he loves like a son. And in the end, how much will Barry sacrifice to save the former Kid Flash? So haven't we seen this before where Wally is evil? Like, I'm pretty sure we have, right? Again, only a couple issues. How it affects the DC universe is still yet to be determined because a lot of this future state stuff does that. So again, if you want to know the future, you might want to invest in these future state books, and that's why I'm checking them out. All right, next, moving on to number 7. We get away from DC for a second. This one is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 56. Last Remains takes its toll. You will never look at Norman or Harry Osborn the same again. We know Spider-Man won't. So what happens at the end of Amazing Spider-Man issue 55 that I guess we won't look at these characters ever the same? What happens to Kindred? Like, what happens to Norman? Sin Eater most recently died, just a spoiler, and maybe that's made everyone evil again or got their evil powers back or whatnot. So again, this is the aftermath of the whole Kindred situation. I'm hoping that issue 55 will be good. Spider-Man has kind of been a little bit of a letdown. I haven't been a fan of Kindred. I definitely wasn't a fan of it being Harry Osborn either. I just think that's just too predictable. Does it reverse one more day? Like, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure we'll get answers to that. This one's 44 pages. This one's $5. All right, next, moving on to number 6. We got another DC book, Future State Wonder Woman. This is issue 1. Deep in the heart of the Amazon rainforest lies a hero of mythic legend, Wonder Woman. But in the absence of Diana, Yara Flor has risen out of obscurity to protect man's world from the magic that lies within it. So obviously something happens to Wonder Woman in Death Metal. I am a little bit behind in Death Metal. Maybe I have not read issue 5 or 6. I know 7's getting ready to come out soon. And I've lost interest in Death Metal, and maybe that's wrong of me to do that, but it's gone so far over my head that I just don't find it interesting. But I feel like I need to read it because something I'm sure happens to Diana, because she is not part of the new Justice League going forward in March, and we have a whole Potla who is in her place. So I need to figure out what's going on with Wonder Woman here and why this woman, Wonder Woman, is in her place. So we'll see what happens there. Out of the DC Future State books, this is one of the ones that I'm really looking forward to. All right, so moving forward to number 5. We have the next Batman, issue 1. So this is the book that obviously is going to kick off everything when it comes to the Batman family. Okay, so this is the one, if you're a Bat fan, you're going to want to read. It says The Next Batman, Part 1, Outsiders, Part 1, Arkham Knights, Part 1. So this is one of the anthology books that has multiple stories inside that's going to tell you everything that's going on with Batman and his supporting cast and what's going on, I guess, in Gotham City. So this is a huge book. This one is 64 pages, and the cover price for this one is $8. All right, so moving forward now to number 4. We have Firepower issue 7. This is Robert Kirkman's book, which I think is one of my favorite independent comics of 2020. This was a nice surprise in a very dark time for us when it comes to comic books and just the whole shutdown. We had a whole trade release of the introduction of Owen Johnson, and it brought you into his world. And then it was released with that first issue, which was absolutely outstanding, and it's been nonstop action ever since. It's a very grounded book. If you like kung fu fighting, this is where it's at, man. There's a new story arc here, and something happened to Owen Johnson's sensei in the last issue, in issue 6, and you're kind of like left like scratching your head going, what's going to happen? The artwork is really great. It's done by Samney, who did Daredevil at one point. Overall awesome book. Definitely recommend it. 32 pages. This one's $4. All right, next, coming in at number 3, Crossover, issue 3. I love this book by Donny Cates. It's a very interesting book. It really does kind of cross into this independent world. Like the heroes that we know, you're familiar with them in a way, right? They do. There's like a Spawn character that crosses over into the crossover book. We see versions of like Batman and, Wonder Woman, even though you don't see their full characters, you see shadows of them. You see like the lasso of them. Like you see that it's kind of trying to cross over into this book. And I think that's really awesome. And then you get our main characters where you get your female lead and you got your male lead, and you're getting the story on how they're actually going to meet up with each other. They captured this girl from this camp, and she's got these comic book powers, right? Where she's like a mutant and she can destroy people from the inside out. It's really interesting. And it does cross over with Image Comics themselves, because it's like in the last issue, Donny Cates is like one of the main writers like died, which I think it was cool. Brian K. Vaughan has died, and Robert Kirkman and blah blah blah, and everybody else is missing. Like I love when they do that stuff in this comic book, and that's what makes it kind of cross over with everything. It's an awesome book. It's a good original tale. I think the story keeps getting better and better. I thought issue 2 was better than issue 1. We get a little bit more of the story unraveling here, like when it comes to like who our heroes are and what they represent and where they came from and stuff like that. It's a good book. Check it out. I'm rambling on. It's $4, 32 pages. Let's move on to number 2. And number 2 is Generation Shattered, issue 1. This seems like a pretty cool book. I think this is a very limited series, though. I think it's only 2 or 3 issues. And if you haven't heard of this, I'm going to read you the description, so just bear with me if I'm reading from here. It says, a threat of cosmic proportions to DC's newest and oldest universe compels one of the most unusual groups of heroes ever assembled to take on the most mysterious foe they have ever encountered, which started in Detective Comics 1027, explodes out of Dark Knight's death metal to tell the story of generations spanning history of the DC universe. Join the original Batman, Kamadi, Starfire, Sinestro, Booster Gold, Dr. Light, Steel, and Sinestro in their quest to save the universe before time runs out. So this book is 80 pages and it's $10. It's a huge book. A lot of reading here, but I think all these heroes come from different timelines. So like this Batman is the Batman from like way, way back, right? So he's not in that leadership role. But you got Sinestro when he was a Green Lantern. Looks like you got Superboy in here instead of like Superman. So really interesting story. Booster Gold obviously has to do with the time traveling stuff. So this looks like it could be a very interesting team doing very interesting things against, other kinds of creatures, bad guys, whatever the case may be. This looks like it's going to be a fun comic. Can't wait to check it out. Hopefully you guys will too. All right. So before we get to number 1, we got to talk about King in Black. So King in Black's got a lot of tie-ins coming out this week. I won't go too much into it, but we have King in Black Venom issue 32. So if you read the most recent issue of Venom, right? Or I'm sorry, King in Black issue 2, Eddie Brock, bad things happen to him, right? So can't wait to read what happens in Venom issue 32. That book is 28 pages. That's $4. The next one you have is Return of Valkyries issue 1. If you also read King in Black, you get to see why the Valkyrie or Jane Foster is incorporated into this story. So this one seems like it could tie in, and it seems like they need the Valkyries to do battle against Null. So that seems like it could be a lot of fun, right? And that one is $4, 28 pages. The next one is Symbiote Spider-Man issue 3. We get to see Black Knight that was in this issue. This one looks like it has the version of Captain Marvel in here, which is kind of interesting. And he aligns himself with Kane the Conqueror. So this is a loose tie-in when it comes to King in Black. Not my favorite. I felt like it was a King in Black tie-in to like help sell the Black Knight tie-in. That's what we got based off of the first 2 issues here. So if you want to check that one out, that one's 28 pages, and that one is $4. All right, and then which looks like the next one we have is Spider-Woman King in Black, issue number 8. Not a huge tie-in. We've gotten to see Jessica do battle against a symbiotic dragon. She's in space trying to find a cure for herself because she is just dying. And this book is very well written. It's very emotional, and I definitely recommend it, not just for the King in Black storyline, but I recommend it just for a good comic book. I think this book is kind of underrated, and the artwork is really good. Overall, fun read. All right, and then the last King in Black tie-in we have is Guardians of the Galaxy. This is issue 10. It says the Guardians cleansed Null. That's what it says. So it looks like maybe our Guardians have to deal with the symbiotic dragons, just like most of these tie-in books are. So not sure how this one really ties in. This is a legacy numbering. One is 72. We'll see what happens. 28 pages. This one is $4. All right, and finally, my number 1 most anticipated book for January 6, 2020 in this heavy comic book week. This one goes to Thor. This is issue 11. This is Prey Part 3. It's called It's a Sunny Day in Hell. So this book has been awesome. We've had Donald Blake make his return back to Asgard, and he's basically taken over. He's got all the powers of Thor, and Thor is stuck in Donald Blake's realm, which is hell. And now we got to see Donald Blake wind up going to Midgard, and he winds up going to meet up with Jane Foster. And Jane Foster doesn't realize that it is Donald Blake, an evil version of him, obviously. She thinks he's all good and perfect, and he's like, oh, wow, great to have you back. So that looks like it's going to be an interesting issue. It's been a phenomenal series. I think it was my favorite series of the year. I loved Thor. So guys, there you have it. There are my top 10 most anticipated comic books for January 6, 2020. I feel like I was out of practice for a little bit, not doing the usual videos for 2 weeks, but we'll go back in the groove of things. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Don't forget to consider hitting that bell so you don't miss any notifications from me. I'll leave you more content right here to check out. Until next time, guys, this is Mike SpiderSlayer signing off, and as always, thank you for watching.